We're ready. It's cold. Different day, different weather. Welcome to class. All right, it's April 30th. It's the last day of April. Huh? It's crazy. Yeah, I know. Now, time is like speeding up now. January felt like 8 months, you know? January felt like 8 months. February started, oh, okay. March, and then now we're on a roller coaster. It was just like in January. Now we're like, whoosh. Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah, so May. I love May. May is the best month of the year because it's also my birthday month. So, yeah. I'm a May baby, I think. Who knows? All right, we're going to talk about definite and indefinite articles today. We're just going to skip around the book. It's a big book. There's no way I can ever finish this book. It's scary to me. It's a scary big book, but we're going to jump into definite and indefinite articles. Next week we'll do a writing activity with that, and we'll talk about more body paragraphs. Welcome. All right. Yeah, how's everyone doing? I don't feel like I get to talk to everybody. We should do interviews next time. Everybody okay out there? Okay. I forgot to mention, yeah, Carolina, can you mention your good news that you received?
My scholarship?
Yeah.
Yay.
Explain it. Explain what happened and.
Oh, okay. My dad, he works for the golf company called Marbella.
Uh-huh.
So the Marbella group have like scholarship for employers' kids. So they gave up for us, like we are 3. So he gave opportunity, and we apply for it. We have to send essay, recommendation, letter of recommendation, and and our teacher write me letter of recommendation. So I applied last Monday on 21, and they called me
Morning.
one day after, and they say like I have an appointment on Saturday. So on Saturday 26th, I passed my appointment with the representative of the organization, and I have tomorrow. I have like a ceremony because they want like a big ceremony in the class, and yeah, I'm really excited for, and yeah,
So what is it? It's a scholarship for
school.
For university.
For university.
Okay. And it's a big scholarship. It's not just a little. Okay. So yeah, if you need any advice about getting scholarships, I mean, there's different ways of going to school and paying for your education, right?
Yeah.
And not just taking loans or, there's different scholarships that you can apply for. And there's like websites that you can find all this information. But, if you also know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, then it also always helps. So, yeah, this government's trying to stop our loans, and they're trying to make people pay back their loans faster and faster. I've always had debt from loans from school, so still paying them until the day I die, which is okay, because if you like the loan is it's better to not pay it off. It's better just to invest your money somewhere else. Right? Yeah, okay. All right, we're gonna watch CNN10. I want you to take keyword notes. And I want you to think about and focus on maybe one of the stories, because you're gonna summarize it, okay? And when you think about a summary, it's basically a body paragraph, right? You wanna have a good topic sentence. talks about your main ideas, gives some of the details, not all of the details, right? You don't need all of them. Just focus on the most important ones and then summarize with the concluding sentence, right? Doesn't have to be crazy, don't worry. It's just practice. We need more practice. But a summary, yeah, is a body paragraph. That's it, right? That's what you're doing. All right, so yeah, the big news yesterday, the world isn't ending. Canada. What happened in Canada? Anybody know? Huh? All right, so get out your paper, whatever you write, your keyword notes. We'll do the word cloud. And if you have your journals today, I'll collect your journals later at the end of class, but for now, you're going to write in your journals. Cory Booker.
What's up, sunshine? I'm Coy Wire. Welcome to CNN10 on this Your Word Wednesday. And because our lead story is coming out of our neighbor to the north today, Canada, let's start off this show with a shout out to the Bears at Crescent Valley School in Hinton, Alberta, and a shout out to the Dolphins of Pilgrim Wood Public School in Oakville, Ontario. Miss Sargent, Mr. Haddock, thank you for making us part of your day. Now, let's get you your news. Canadians headed to the polls for their big federal election, similar to the United States' big election days, but Canadians vote to choose members for their parliament, which is similar to the US Congress, and that determines who becomes prime minister, the head of their government. The voters elected Mark Carney to keep his role as prime minister after he recently took over from Justin Trudeau. The win marks a major victory for Canada's Liberal Party over the nation's Conservative Party. While voters were focused on issues like the cost of living, things like gas and groceries, and finding affordable housing, a major theme in this election was Canada's relationship with the United States, especially concerning trade and tariffs. Carney also took a strong stance against several mentions from the White House recently, voicing their desire to annex or add Canada as the 51st state.
Why was it important for you to vote today?
You can see it on my sweater, on my t-shirt. Canada's not for sale.
Well, the groceries are going up and the gas is going up, and it's hard for the seniors to struggle, right?
It's always important, but with everything going on across the border, tumultuous times of the economy, it's important to make sure our voices are heard.
CNN's Paula Newton has this report.
Who's ready? Who's ready? Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me?
A rallying cry for Canadian sovereignty as Mark Carney declared victory in the country's federal elections.
We are once again at one of those hinge moments of history. Our old relationship with the United States, a relationship based on steadily increasing integration, is over.
The 60-year-old former central banker also sending a message of unity to the millions that did not vote for him.
And my message to every Canadian is this: no matter where you live, no matter what language you speak, no matter how you voted, I will always do my best to represent everyone who calls Canada home.
So I would like to congratulate Prime Minister Carney.
Conservative opposition leader Pierre Poilievre conceded defeat early Tuesday, saying Carney had won enough seats to form a razor-thin minority government. Throughout his campaign, Carney rode a wave of anti-Trump sentiment since winning his party's leadership contest in a landslide after former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau stepped down last month.
We are fighting unjustified U.S. tariffs.
Trump's tariffs on imports from Canada and continued threats to annex the country as the 51st state only helped him ride that wave to victory.
Pop quiz, hot shot. What is the oldest university in the United States? Yale University, Harvard University, College of William and Mary, or St. John's College?
That's right.
Hip hip hurrah if you said Harvard. Established in 1636 when Massachusetts was still a British colony.
1636.
It was a
Oh my God, before America was America.
originally named New College and later changed the name to honor its first financial donor, John Harvard. Last week, we gave you a report about Harvard University suing the White House to get their billions of dollars in federal funding back. Well, a judge just decided the university will not be able to access that money until at least late this summer, if at all. It's all part of the ongoing fight between the White House and higher education institutions over things like diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, university rules around campus protests, as well as which applicants should be admitted or employed. Attorneys for Harvard and the White House begin their arguments July 21st. Russian President Vladimir Putin declared a unilateral 3-day ceasefire in Ukraine beginning on May 8th. The Kremlin says all military actions will be suspended in that time. The temporary truce coincides with Russia's World War II Victory Day holiday on May 9th, marking the 80th anniversary of Nazi Germany's defeat. The announcement was met with skepticism. Ukrainian officials said Putin should instead accept a longer, more permanent truce proposed by the United States that would start immediately. So far, Putin has rejected that deal. Now to news of a very expensive and dangerous mishap at sea. The Navy recently lost a fighter jet worth tens of millions of dollars after it rolled off an aircraft carrier into the sea. Thankfully, the crew aboard the carrier were able to clear out of the jet's way and were unharmed. The Navy said in a statement that the FA-18 Super Hornet fighter jet was being towed aboard the USS Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier in the Red Sea. The incident is under investigation, and while the cause of the accident isn't clear just yet, the initial reports suggest that the ship may have made a hard turn to avoid fire from Houthi rebels who were targeting cargo ships in the area. The Houthis' attacks on shipping in the Red Sea began shortly after the start of the Israel-Hamas war in 2023, stating their attacks were an act of solidarity with Palestinians. The Navy does have a dedicated salvage recovery team, did you know? So there is a chance of them getting out of this quagmire by recovering the expensive jet, but they also feel it might be too risky given the hostile activity from Houthi rebels. Today's story getting a 10 out of 10, a robotics team overcoming tragedy to reach the world championships. When the January wildfires burned tens of thousands of acres in Los Angeles County, Marquez Charter Elementary School and its robotics lab was among those affected. But the 4th and 5th graders on this robotics team weren't ready to give up just yet. Our Natasha Chen has the story. Listen.
I was riding away and I see like the smoke like filling the sky and I'm like, oh my God, my school, oh my God, I had a robotics day, the robot.
Charlotte Liu, who goes by Charlie, is one of hundreds of students who evacuated Marquez Charter Elementary School on January 7th as flames hurtled toward their school.
I thought that we might actually be able to save the school, but then I got the word the next morning.
They're part of a group of 4th and 5th graders who had built incredible robots during the fall to compete in regional and national competitions, only to have the Palisades fire destroy them as it tore through more than 6,000 structures.
We never expected everything to burn down. Otherwise, I would have saved it.
Many teachers and parents thought they were leaving temporarily, not thinking there would be nothing left for their children to return to.
Most of them lost their homes, their schools, their, parks, their libraries.
With no campus left, the staff and student body moved to existing empty classrooms at another elementary school, and the students made their own choice to rebuild their robots, even as some were dealing with losing their homes.
We didn't have a place to live, so, we didn't even know where school was necessarily going to be. So yeah, it seems a little overwhelming and daunting because it's a big commitment.
3 days a week, hours at a time, and with the help of donations, support from the coaches.
I said, if you want to continue, we will find a way.
And looking over notes from their first robots.
We made some improvements that definitely improved the bot.
A bot designed to launch a ball directly into a set of goals.
How accurate is that when you launch?
Well, our bot is actually called hole-in-one, so pretty frequently. We usually get it in every time.
So good, in fact, that the two teams from Marquez took their quickly finished new robots to an Iowa competition. The fourth grade team also beat out hundreds of other teams to qualify for the World Championships in Dallas, Texas.
There's probably going to be some really, really good teams that have like crazy scores.
But teammate Winston Tyre remembers hearing words of advice at the last meetup as they prepare for their biggest match.
It isn't about what the awards you get. It isn't about who you get paired up with. It's about having fun.
And his dad could not be prouder of the journey they've taken.
It's been like months, but they do impress me. Just look at their spirit and the fact that they just were like, this happened, but we're not defeated.
Robotics in general, it's all about, not giving up. And I think that that's what they're doing in their lives right now.
Well done. All right, it is time to bring this show home. Our Your Word Wednesday winner is Miss Walburn in Jackson Middle School in Ohio for quagmire, a noun meaning an awkward, complex, or hazardous situation. Thank you for boosting.
It also is a word for a swamp. Yeah, so another word for swamp is quagmire. Also a character on American Dad. And when we talk about wars, it's like you're in a swamp and you're stuck. Wars or conflict, things like that.
Using our vocabulary today. And we have a special shout out going to Miss Rashid and all our friends at Coyle Middle School in Athens, Georgia. Rise up. Thank you everyone for subscribing and commenting on our CNN10 YouTube channel for your shout out requests. You rock. I'm Coy Wire and we are CNN10.
See, I always finishes with something positive. All right. Don't look at my email. Go ahead, write your keywords here. Get those vocabulary words out. Refresh your memories. Think about the words. Think about a story that you want to write a summary about. Could be the last one, which is the longest one. And it doesn't have to be a long summary, but think about these keywords first. I'm going to write to CNN10 and say, do a shout out to Saddleback College, Mr. Wynn's ESL class. Let's write our keywords. Got keywords. I'll look at my email. Oh, here's some keywords coming in. Whoops, sorry. Oops. Oops. Keywords. Oh no, Bob. We're on a hinge. Interesting. Shout out to. Nice. 51. 60 million. Where's the fighter jet? Anybody get the fighter jet? Where's Dallas, Texas? Los Angeles, ceasefires, 1960. 1636. A lot of good words coming in. Keywords. What was 10 million? Or tens of millions? What was that about? 10 millions? 60 million? Millions? The oldest what? Can you make this any bigger? Why can't it fill up the whole thing? What is wrong with their website? Hostile. Seance? Seance? Does that... Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't Pacquiao. That was like an error. Pacquiao is a boxer, for the Filipino boxer. What did he say? I forget. I saw that. Hinge. What is a hinge? He said that. Who said? Somebody said that, we're at the hinge of history right now. What is a hinge? Where is the hinge usually, like physically? Nice. A lot of good words. It's a good way to start to summarize ideas, right? With words, things like that. Okay. If you are finished, great. If you are not, keep writing those keywords. Keep thinking about keywords. Keep adding things from your own memory. What is 10 millions or 60 million? What was that about? I know, but connected to the story. Which story was that connected to? Whoever wrote tens of millions, 10 millions, tens of millions. Have you ever heard that before? So how many would tens of millions be? It's always like tens of millions. So it could be anywhere from 20 to $90 million, right? We're kind of giving an estimate, and the estimate isn't 1 million or 5 million or 100 million. It's going to be tens of millions, so somewhere between 10 and 90, right? So it's a way that people quickly estimate, like a number, right? How much? What was this tens of millions of dollars lost on the what? It was an airplane that fell into the ocean, into the sea, the Red Sea. Fires, mishaps. Okay. So what I want you to do in your journals, or if you don't have your journal on a piece of paper that you're going to give to me, Write a summary about one of the stories. If you were not here for it, that's fine. You could watch it again on your phones with headphones, or we could show it again. Do you want me to choose one of the stories that we write a summary about? We can rewatch it. The fire story, the robotics. That's the best one. Okay. So in the summary, I want you to make sure to have a strong topic sentence. Okay. And a topic sentence is basically the main idea, right? What happened? What is the story about, right? Something about robotics, something about a fire in Los Angeles, something about young people, okay? It's the main idea of your sentence. Include some of the supporting details, okay? Not all of them, okay? Just what you think is the most important, right? You don't need to make a summary this long. It could be very short. Give the most important details, you know? And then, yeah, write a concluding sentence that summarizes or restates your topic sentence. So you're just going to kind of say this part again, because your reader is very not smart and does not remember things well. Okay? So I'll just show that part for people maybe who just arrived, as well as to refresh our memories. Okay?
Iranian officials said Putin should
So yeah, you can listen to this story again, take some notes, and then think about ways to write a summary about this, okay?
Story getting a 10 out of 10. A robotics team overcoming tragedy to reach the world championships. When the January wildfires burned tens of thousands of acres in Los Angeles County, Marquez Charter Elementary School and its robotics lab was among those affected. But the 4th and 5th graders on this robotics team weren't ready to give up just yet. Our Natasha Chen has the story. Listen.
I was riding away and I see like the smoke like filling the sky, and I'm like, oh my god, my school, oh my god, I had a robotics day, the robot.
Charlotte Liu, who goes by Charlie, is one of hundreds of students who evacuated Marquez Charter Elementary School on January 7th as flames hurtled toward their school.
I thought that we might actually be able to save the school, but then I got the word the next morning.
They're part of a group of 4th and 5th graders who had built incredible robots during the fall to compete in regional and national competitions, only to have the Palisades fire destroy them as it tore through more than 6,000 structures.
We never expected everything to burn down. Otherwise, I would have saved it.
Many teachers and parents thought they were leaving temporarily, not thinking there would be nothing left for their children to return to.
Most of them lost their homes, their schools, their, parks, their libraries.
With no campus left, the staff and student body moved to existing empty classrooms at another elementary school, and the students made their own choice to rebuild their robots, even as some were dealing with losing their homes.
We didn't have a place to live, so, we didn't even know where school was necessarily going to be. So yeah, it seems a little overwhelming and daunting because it's a big commitment.
3 days a week, hours at a time, and with the help of donations, support from the coaches.
I said, if you want to continue, we will find a way.
And looking over notes from their first robots.
We made some improvements that definitely improved the bot.
A bot designed to launch a ball directly into a set of goals.
How accurate is that when you launch?
Well, our bot is actually called Hole-in-One, so pretty frequently. We usually get it in every time.
So good, in fact, that the 2 teams from Marquez took their quickly finished new robots to an Iowa competition. The 4th grade team also beat out hundreds of other teams to qualify for the World Championships in Dallas, Texas.
There's probably going to be some really, really good teams that have crazy scores.
But teammate Winston Tyre remembers hearing words of advice at the last meetup as they prepare for their biggest match.
It isn't about what the awards you get. It isn't about who you get paired up with. It's about having fun.
And his dad could not be prouder of the journey they've taken.
It's been months, but they do impress me. Just look at their spirit and the fact that they just were like, this happened, but we're not defeated.
Robotics in general, it's all about, you know, not giving up. And I think that that's what they're doing in their lives right now.
Well done. All right, it is time to bring the...
All right. Go ahead. I'll give you about 10 minutes, I said. 10 minutes. And if you need a piece of paper, because I'll collect these. If you need a piece of paper or you don't want to pull something from yours, just raise your hand and I'll bring you a piece of paper. Otherwise, write it in your journals and I'll collect those journals today with your Animal Farm writing. So yeah, write a summary about the robots, the robotic competition. Marquez Charter School, just in case you need that. Marquez Charter. Charter Elementary School. Charter schools. What's the kid's name? And you don't need to write all of the details. You don't need to include names. You can say the students, a student. When did this happen? Where did they go? What are their goals besides making goals? Let's say it's been 3 minutes. I think it's been 3 minutes. And if you I wonder if that'll work. Never tried. Never tried. to true love. True love for you. I'm going to play some music. Skin and bones, heading to something to follow. Oh yeah, I'll give myself dry. Oh, I'll give myself dry. We're writing a summary on a CNN story. You don't have to include all the details. It's kind of your choice, your judgment. You're still skin and bone. You need more time? Yeah. Maybe 4 more minutes. And one summary, one paragraph, no more than one paragraph. There's no body paragraph, it's not an introduction. It is a body paragraph. Just your regular old, could be 6 sentences long. if you're finished. Do we want to do a Padlet? No. No, we got to get to this. Just a summary. Doesn't have to include all the details. I think kind of the uncertainty thing is that you want to write too much sometimes. You think you missed something, and make sure you write the most important things. Can't cover everything. I think one of the most important things in learning is figuring out what is important and what is not. In life, maybe. Yeah, and if you finish, go ahead, give it to me and I'll. Okay. Those are your notes. Great. Can you? Oh, you got your name. And if you're done, yeah, give me your journals. If you have it written in your journal, if you don't, give me a piece of paper. If you don't, take a photo. Thank you. Wait, no. The summary from today.
Oh, today. Okay.
Yeah. If it's in your journal, then give me your journal. And it's in here. Thank you. Nice. You might have 2 things to give me today. You're writing about Animal Farm, your impressions, your connection to the present and the past. Yeah. I'll check those. Don't worry. We're all at different stages of learning. Nothing. All right. So if you're not finished, finish up. Go ahead. Give those to me. You can give it to me later as well. Thank you very much. You can write it in your journals or not. Perfect. Piece of paper is perfect as long as it doesn't destroy your notebook. I'll check those. I'll maybe try to send you a photo of it. Helps you along with. Yeah, so summary is a good way to practice writing body paragraphs. Like we read something, we watch a video. We can't just write the entire video, right? Or the story. We can't write the entire thing. So you're reporting information to somebody else to give them, the big picture. We call it the gist, the main ideas, the most important parts. Should we try to write one together? Let's do it. I don't have enough time for anything, so. All right. Say I'm writing. That's summary. I always like to put the dates, guys. Always put the date when you write. You might come back to something. Summary about robotics. Okay, if you're still writing, go ahead, keep writing. So first we need is a topic sentence, right? And a topic sentence gives us the main idea. We don't have to put all the details, obviously, in the beginning, right? We don't have to mention the name of the school yet. But yeah, a robotics team. Huh? Return from the ashes. So that's like a nice like slogan. I wouldn't say that, I would give a little bit more detail than that, but that's a good, that's what he said, right? A robotics team, I don't know. And they were young people, right? So I don't want you to get the impression that these were adults, right? An elementary school robotics team. What happened? They rebuilt? Okay. They
students, professor, and nurses.
let's think. Okay. Did they do it? Did they try, or was it completed? They completed. I mean, they rebuilt, right? They made a team, right? The robotics team. Yeah, an incredible robots. And what did they do? So they went to pass the championship, right? They went into the qualifying. Where was the qualifying thing? In Dallas, Texas. Okay. Robotics team from, I don't know, where was it? The Palisades? Palisades affected by the Palisades fire went on to the qualifying round of a competition.
Hey, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it better to start RSA with, the wildfire in Los Angeles before
So what's the main topic, though? No. Because that's an introduction paragraph. We're not writing an introduction paragraph. So is that the most important thing, the wildfire? Or was it the robotics team?
Because their school, destroyed because of the wildfire
Right.
in Los Angeles.
But is that what the story is about? The wildfires?
No, the story about the robot.
Right. So then after I give this is the main point, right?
Oh.
Yeah, they were affected by the wildfire, Palisade fire.
Oh, yeah.
They went on, let's say went on, and I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, so help me, qualifying round of a competition, of a robotics competition.
You started with that.
Yeah, and then now I can say, so when did the fires happen? January 7th. We can say 2005, 2025. We don't have, let's say 2025. I like information. Okay, what happened? The fire, the Palisades fire, the wildfires burned down. Okay, what school? Okay, so yeah, let's just call it the Palisades fire, because that's what it was called. It's called the Palisades fire. Burned down what? Marquez Charter Elementary School. Where what?
Including the robots lab.
Okay. Including the robot. Burned down, including the robotics lab. Okay. So now we set up our story, right? Our first thing is it's our main idea. You don't want to start with on January 7th, 2005, the fires happened. And then I'm thinking, oh my God, we're going to talk about the fires, right? Which is different, right? Like that's like if you had an whole essay, that's how you would get their attention though, Millions of dollars were lost and blah, blah, blah. People lost their homes, lives were ruined. But out of that comes this story, boom. And then you tell the story, right? That's like, but we only have one paragraph and we don't have enough time, never have enough time for anything. And so what we want to do is we want to get to the point, okay? Because not everybody has the time of the day to like read your like introduction, the fires crept through the canyon and burned animals and forests and houses, It was a... No, I know, but you don't need to do that. But this is a body paragraph. It's just like, I want you now to get to the point, right? So, we only have one paragraph. It's a summary. We just want to get right to the point, right? The members of the robotics team, what did they do? They rebuilt. This is where they rebuilt, right? Rebuilt what? Their robots. Despite losing what? I love using the word despite or even though, right? So something happens, huh? Awards? Despite what? Losing their school, their homes, right? Homes and community. Or something, right? Community space, libraries, whatever, right? Community space. And then what happens? Maybe you can mention when somebody says something. Okay. Okay. They didn't give up and ended up
revealed their original robots.
Okay, or made them better. I don't know if they're the original, right? They didn't give up, and did they get support? Yeah. Okay, with support and donations from the community and their teachers, right? From their let's say community, okay? Because that's just one easy way to say everybody, right? They didn't give up, and with support and donations from the community, qualified for the robotics championship. Where? Championship in Dallas, Texas this year. Is it this year? Say this year. Is there too much detail? No. Let's summarize it now. Let's either restate this part, and we can give a little hopeful message as well. So, they overcame adversity. What does adversity mean? Like struggles. They overcame their struggles, adversity, and now are able to make a goal to succeed in their goals like their robots. Something like that. And that's what I would say would be a summary, right? You don't need to include the names unless that person was really important in the story. If it was about that person, right? But we have like 3 or 4 kids that are talking about students. January 7th is really our only detail. Dallas, Texas as well. But does this summarize that story? Right? How many sentences do we have? 6. That's what I always say. All you need is like 4 supporting sentences. And that to me is enough, is it? Would you add more? No, this is enough for a summary. Is there something missing from this information that if you watched the video and you said, oh, I'm lost? Or does it capture the main, let's call it the story arc? Not every detail, but hero comes, hero fails, hero succeeds, wins the prize, right? That's like every, like Star Wars, like Harry Potter, right? Does it capture the bad thing happens, the struggle, the fires burn down things, right? Then they have their moment of like, getting back together, getting help from their, Obi-Wan Kenobi or, whoever, Dumbledore, right? And then, well, because everything is kind of like, right? So their Dumbledore comes, their Obi-Wan Kenobi comes, right? And that's their community, and their parents are supporting their teacher. That's the Dumbledore, right? There's like the wise person that comes and helps you in your journey. And then, they get it. They qualify for the robotics championship, right? they overcame adversity, and they'll do it again because they have to go to Dallas now, and then they have to deal with, I don't know, life and rebuilding a house and their parents moving and whatever, you know, like, and then that'll be the sequel, and then you'll hear it again and again, right? But this is kind of what we call the hero's journey. We'll talk about that more next week. But the hero's journey, right? Do you think that's enough? I think it's enough. If you wrote that, I would say, you know, you never have to write this much because it's not a summary anymore. Then it becomes like,
How about the conclusion?
the conclusion's right here. That's the concluding sentence. Does it, you know? Let me say, not they, let's say the robotics team. Overcame adversity, I don't know, caused by the wildfires.
Yeah, and inspire.
And now are able
their
to.
ability to stay strong and, you know, work hard.
Is that enough?
Yes, that's enough.
Yeah. Right? And then it kind of matches your topic sentence. So read the topic sentence. Unmanageable robotics team is affected by the Palisades fire, went on to the qualifying round of a robotics competition, right? And then this kind of says the same thing. The robotics team overcame adversity caused by the wildfire and now are able to succeed in their goals like their robots, I don't know, right? That to me would be like enough to be a summary, you know? And that means that you are able to get your ideas organized well. Yeah, Anastasia. To what? To cope. Coping, I think, is a little bit like you still have to deal with it. It's like you can't like escape it. And so instead of escaping uncertainty, you are gonna get punched, but you're gonna like, okay, I'm okay. Overcome is to like actually physically think about like you remove yourself from this. So I think overcome is stronger. Can you overcome uncertainty? No, I think because it'll always be there, right? I'm just like, I'm always certain, you know, like I know everything, you know.
Well, we can say that overcome is past simple past, and to cope is like present progressive, yes?
No, well, the present progressive is that you're always going to face that problem, you know? So you can't overcome life unless you die. Right, but you can cope with all the negative things in life. And you can create positives, you know. I don't think you can overcome like a daily thing, you know. I overcame, I don't know. You can overcome like an illness. You're finished with it, you know. But you know, you're never gonna overcome stress, right? You're gonna cope and you're gonna deal with stress in better ways, you know. I don't want people to think that you're just gonna magically wake up and be like, yeah, man, no more stress. I'm just like so chill. Something bad will happen, you know. I'm not being negative. But yeah, I'll send this to you guys so you can see a summary. If you got something close to that, wonderful. If you didn't, then learn from it. And, you know, I think the hardest thing in writing is to be concise. This is my favorite word for writing. And to be concise means what? It means to be efficient. It means to use like the least amount of words to say the most things, right? That's like the hardest thing in writing, is not being able to say, you know, 10,000 different words and blah, blah, blah. It's to be able to say something so clearly that people understand, right? And then to be able to use the least amount of words to say it, right? Unless you're like a poet and you're trying to make it beautiful and flowery and you make a story, you know, on the evening of January 7th, blah, blah, you know, like, it's not like that. It's a summary. Its job is just to give information, you know. Other writing will do different things, but your job is to give information. Got it? Okay. We don't have that much time, but I want you to jump into your textbook on page 178. We're going to get started with definite, indefinite articles. I'm going to ask you to just do a lot of it for homework. And I think the best way to practice definite and indefinite articles, what's a definite article? What does definite mean? It's like we know something, right? We know that this is, you know? And what does indefinite mean? We just kind of, it's in general, right? So a definite article is what? What's the word that we use? There's only one word. Yeah, what's a definite article? In English. It's what? It's apparent. But what is the word that we use? What is an article? Oh, yeah, of course. Sorry. No problem. If you need the book, chapter's right there. I got a nice copy today. So yeah, definite article is the. That's it. And then indefinite is a or an. That's it. Okay? Different, like an apple is different from the apple, right? And a lot of languages don't have this distinction. You just know it by context. If your language, your first language has this, it's going to be easier for you. If it doesn't, it might be a lot more difficult, okay? And there's lots of rules that it'll take you years and years to learn. The best way to learn it is reading stories, reading fiction, actually, because it introduces always, like, the. All right, so I want you to go through, do this reading. We'll read it together, we'll finish, and I think that's all the time we'll have for that. Summaries take a long time. And if you didn't finish your summary and you want to finish it later, you can give it to me, or give it me now, or later is fine. After the break, before class is over. You can send it to me as an email if you. But don't overthink, don't over-stress about it. Like, you learn by making those mistakes, not mistakes. The auroch. What is an auroch? What does it look like? Auroch. Oh, it's a giant. What a giant. Beautiful. That's too much auroch for me. I thought it was called the carrier. I thought it was called the carrier pigeon. These are the common. I just thought it was. Oh, it's the same. Ohio. After you read, go ahead. Answer those vocabulary questions. So cool. Got like 4 monitors. I like that. Let's do it. There's a lot of the. Where's N? Oh, the. Huh. That's weird. All right, let me steal a little bit of your break. I'm going to play the audio. I want you to follow along, okay? Listen, look for any uses of the. Why did they use the? Look for any instances of And also there's another one called the zero article. So sometimes a noun doesn't have anything, it's zero. Figure out which ones, why there's zero. Why isn't there? So most count nouns, things like apples, oranges, if it's a singular, it's a singular count noun, which, if there's one of something, then you always have to put something in front of it. I don't know. Right? It can't be alone. It always has to be like something. An apple, the apple, my apple, 5 apples, right? You can't do that by itself. It has to have something, okay? But with multiple apples, it can be alone. It can be the apples. It could be apples are delicious for you, okay? So we could say an apple. I like to eat an apple. It means just one apple. Any apple will do, right? The apple is on the table. We all know we're looking at the apple. And then the last one is apples. No, nothing, right? You can say the apple. Sorry, there's like now 5 apples on the table, right? But then we can just say apples are delicious. What are we talking about? Yeah, apples in general, okay? So I'm going to steal just 5 minutes. I'll give it back to you later, but let's follow along and look at every instance of the. If you want to underline it some more, go ahead.
Unit 11, page 178.
No.
Read.
I don't like this. Always does this to me. Always does that. Okay, here we go. The app doesn't work.
Unit 11, page 178. Read.
Going, gone?
Gone.
What do the auroch, the passenger pigeon, and the western black rhinoceros have in common? The answer, they've all gone extinct. These vanished animals typify the problem of the disappearance of species. Several grim statistics indicate the seriousness of the issue. Today, more than 18,000 species are thought to be in danger of extinction. This means that over 40% of the world's animals are considered at risk. It is also estimated that about 1/2 of the world's animal species have disappeared since 1970. Many feel that something must be done to stop this, and soon. But what? Some animals have been extinct for a considerable time. Aurochs, large wild oxen that lived in Europe and Asia, had died out by the early 1600s. The passenger pigeon was once the most common bird in North America. Historically, it populated the eastern U.S. and Canada, but by the end of the 19th century, it had almost disappeared because of habitat destruction and excessive hunting.
So I don't know why they don't say this. The passenger pigeon or the carrier pigeon. 1914 disappears. What happens in 1914 in America? There's a Great Depression. Depression, like the Great Depression is 1910 or something, 1910s. They don't tell you. You could look this up on YouTube or the internet. People shot them out of the sky. They would fly. They would cover the sky. They would be black with these birds. That's what it said. And people would shoot them with a shotgun and eat them. And because of hunger, because of the Great Depression, because people had no money and no food. So this is crazy. We Americans ate this bird to extinction. Yes, I don't think it's habitat. I mean, habitat would be they destroyed the trees because they needed firewood because of the Great Depression. The main reason was Americans and Canadians, I guess, hunted them with guns and they disappeared. We just ate them all. Yeah, look, it's a very sad story.
The last known passenger pigeon, a female named Martha, died at the Cincinnati Zoo on September 1st, 1914. More recently, we have lost the western black rhinoceros, which lived in the southeastern part of the African continent. It declined greatly over the 20th century and was last seen in 2008. It was officially declared extinct on November 6, 2013. Which animals are presently in danger of extinction? There are 3 significant categories: critically endangered, endangered, and vulnerable. Those considered critically endangered include the mountain gorilla of Central Africa and the California condor. Those termed endangered include the Asian elephant and the blue whale. Those considered vulnerable include the African lion and the polar bear of northern North America. The picture looks bleak overall. Nevertheless, the situation is not hopeless. There have been a few successes in bringing animals back from the edge of extinction. The whooping cranes of Canada and the United States are one example. In 1941, there were only 21 cranes in captivity and 2 in the wild. By 2015, there were estimated to be 603 birds in the wild. Their story can be considered a limited recovery, though there is still a potential problem of species diversity. The humpback whale is another species that has made something of a comeback, particularly since the ban on commercial whaling was instituted. Human activity is by far the most significant cause of animal extinction. The most crucial problem is loss of habitat caused by the increase of human population and its associated development. This includes expanded farming, excessive hunting, poaching, and man-made pollution. To that, we can add climate change and the effects of invasive species that overwhelm the native animals of an area. What can we do? Several strategies have been suggested. 1. Reduce our use of meat and dairy products. 2. Focus on renewable energy. 3. Change our shopping habits. 4. Support laws that restrict development. And 5. Support efforts to protect the rainforests, wetlands, coral reefs, and grasslands. There is need for alarm. If we're concerned about the loss of species, we need to make our voices heard. Once an animal is gone, it is gone forever.
That's right. Grim. It's grim news. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back in 15 minutes. Thank you, and we'll talk about this a little bit more.
Because I have an appointment.
Okay. All right. We'll miss you. Thank you. Oh, should have wrote it in here. Love your handwriting. Wow.
If my previous teacher gives us.
Okay. From here. No problem. Thank you. With Julie. You were with Julie. Are you still taking the class? No. Why? But you were in the class?
Yeah, last semester I joined the class.
Uh-huh.
Now the time cannot match, so I
The time? Okay. But you start, what class is 3:30? Intermediate? Multi-skills? Multi-skills? Oh, okay. And was that at your level, you think, the class?
For writing, I'm always good, not good at writing.
Okay.
But to listen, I can catch up.
Okay.
For writing, I cannot.
Gotta practice. Write emails to people. And I mean, you know, write journals, write your thoughts down in English if you can. You can't improve without practice.
I wrote it as a class.
Okay.
And I wrote an original version at home.
Uh-huh.
But it's not so much the form of introduction program.
Okay.
So, although it seems better than what I wrote at class.
Okay. So this is for Journal 6, the assignment today? Okay. Cool. Thank you. What? What's wrong?
I know I don't look perfect.
Shh. It's okay. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. We're not perfect. The world is not perfect. So yeah. It's okay for your paper to be not perfect. Jesus, the world's not perfect. Aliens. Do you know why? All right, so I did not press record when I was talking about articles and did this PowerPoint presentation, so I'll make another recording, and hopefully it will be better than it was before. And I'll post all of this material so that you can see more about articles, which, as I was saying throughout the class, it's something that's just going to be really difficult. It's something I think that people use to tell you that you don't know how to write and that you don't know how to speak English. Even though when we don't use it and we don't use it correctly, people still understand you. It's this thing, I think it's kind of snobby. Especially in writing. So like you could be studying something for 30 years, you might have the best ideas in the world, but if you don't get the article right, then people might judge you based on that. So, and I was just saying in the class that, you can study this, you can practice it, you can try to memorize it, but it'll take a long time. And even if you've been studying this for a couple years now, it might not stick because there's so many rules about this, and I'm going to try to go over as many of them as I can. It was like some nice debate, some questions during the class. I'll try to get to those if I remember them. But yeah, so every singular count noun needs something in front of it. Okay, and there's that little asterisk, not everything. So for example, I'm reading book, right? That's a singular count noun. We can add an S to it. We make it plural. Blank house is very small. All right, so we can't say that alone. We always have to put something in front of it, and it's one of these things, these determinators, some kind of quantifier, a lot, my, his, her, possessive pronouns, something like this indefinite, definite article, a book, the tiny house. Even if we have an adjective, we still have to have the in front of it. We can't just say tiny house, okay? And sometimes, like, I think words like mom, like, hey, mom's coming, A lot of times, you can say my mother, but I think mom is a name in itself. And home, you never say the home. I'm going to the home, unless it's like really specific. But usually it's just kind of the name for this place that you live, okay? Even if there is an adjective. So I'm wearing a blank red jacket, okay? I'm wearing a red jacket. It's not important. It's not something you know. But if I say I'm wearing the red jacket, and I'm going to do this right now. I want to put like a Michael Jackson red jacket on. Let's do that. All right, so I'm back with the red jacket. And the one I always think about is this Michael Jackson one. But I've had this ones for years. I could have been saying I'm wearing a red jacket, okay, or my red jacket. Now you know which jacket I'm talking about. We'll talk about that more, but this is the red jacket. I've had it for a long time, and I never get to wear it. So, okay. So any of these things, they could be articles, a, and, each, every. These are quantifiers that tell you how many. This, that, his, her, the, etc. Okay, there's a few more. Okay, but whenever there is a singular count noun, it needs something in front of it. Okay, and it has to be a count noun, right? So you don't need it for water. Okay, my water. You can't say my water, but you could say water. You know, I have some water. I have water. All right, you can quantify it still. All right, uncountable. What does that mean? I guess we should have talked about countable stuff first. Oh well. Not enough time to do everything, but I can give you more information about uncountable and countable nouns. I'll just give you a PDF. We'll find one. Uncountable and plural nouns don't have to have a possessive pronoun or article if you are talking about things in general. So water is important. It's another uncountable. Americans, right? So people eat a lot of hamburgers. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Hamburgers. I'm not talking about a specific hamburger. I'm talking about all hamburgers. And same thing with American here. So Americans, I made it plural. Am I talking about a specific American? No, I'm talking about just like the citizens of the United States. I know it's a term that a lot of people don't like using or don't want Americans to use anymore because America is a big place. Uncountable, don't have to have. Yep, I read that. Fast food is dangerous. So food is non-count. We don't add S. We don't say I had a lot of foods today, unless you are talking about types of foods or kinds of food. Okay. Yeah. So that's the background. We have count nouns. We have uncountable plural nouns. And if we put nothing in front of it, we're just talking about in general. Fast food is dangerous. Fast food. Indefinite articles are a and an. Okay. A and N only before singular count nouns. We don't put it in front of non-count nouns, right? Because we can't count them. So why would you use a water? Okay, a water bottle maybe, like the bottle is countable, but water itself is not. And we talk about other things like money is not countable, but you can definitely count it, but you don't say my monies. I have 5 monies in my pocket. Use an for words with vowel sounds. Okay, so this is kind of important. An SUV is a type of car. Okay, we use an. Okay, and we use so S is actually spelled ES, right? S. So it's a vowel sound. So because of that, we have to put the an in front of it. I gotta do some changes, so bear with me. Thank you for being here. Is that the right blue? Sure, why not? Okay, an SUV is a type of car. A and N is used for something not specific. Okay, it's not that important yet. I want a new car. Okay, it could be any car. I'm not specific yet, you know. Would I ever say I want the new car? It's only if we are talking about a specific car. But you know, when you're first talking about introducing something and you're kind of talking about it in general, I want a new car. I want new cars. We wouldn't say that because we only want one still, right? A and N is used for something mentioned for the first time as well. So I bought a new sports car, okay? And you're going to see it maybe, and you'll know what it is afterwards, and we'll talk about when we use the after we introduce it for the first time. All right, A and N are used in phrases of quantity or frequency. So when we're talking about these kind of phrases, €2 a kilo, 5 days a week, 25 miles an hour. I don't know why I use euros. I think I was in Turkey. $2 a pound. A and N can be used to mean one. Okay, so that's kind of the most common thing that you do. So you can say, I want a pizza. I want a hamburger. I want a Coke. I will have a soda. I will have a soda. That's the fun drink. Okay, so we have numbers, quantities, things like that. There's like a bunch more. 5, it's A and N are used with jobs and professions. So if you talk about, I work as an instructor for many years, it's like when you're talking about yourself, you're describing yourself, not when you say there are 5 teachers over there, there are 5 instructors, right? That's different. If you talk about your job, you say, I work as a teacher. I am a teacher. I am a student. I am a doctor. And we always have to use that. And instructor, vowel sound. My father is a carpenter, right? So all of those, whenever we talk about our profession or somebody else's profession, he is a carpenter. They are carpenters, right? But when we talk about carpenters, we can say it any way we want. Okay, moving on to the definite articles. I feel like, is that all? I think that's it. Can you think of any other uses for the indefinite article? Let me know in the comments. Definite articles are the, okay? What does it mean to be definite? It means that, there's just one. We know which one it is. Indefinite means we don't know. So if you're talking about like an indefinite amount of time, it means kind of like an unknown amount of time. All right. Definite article, the one, it's used when it's clear to the listen. There's so many typos in here. I'm sorry. You get to see my umbrella. Listener, reader, what is being talked about. Okay, so if it's clear, if you both have knowledge, if you've talked about it before, if we're talking about the same one, then you can say it. But in general, like, I need an umbrella, right? I can go to the store, I can pick up an umbrella. I want the red umbrella. Okay, and maybe you have a special umbrella that you only use, or you've been going to the shop every day and you see this beautiful umbrella, and every day you look at it and you say, you tell your mom and your dad and your sister and everybody in your family and your partner, you say, I want the red umbrella. I don't know why I got so specific about the umbrella. I think it was raining the day I made this. All right, use the when something is unique or a superlative. And some of you don't know what a superlative is, but let's talk about it. So something unique or super, right? When we talk about words like the first, the last, the best, the worst, the most beautiful, the happiest, right? We always put the in front of it. And a lot of times I see in writing, students leave off the when they use words like most. Okay, so that's called a superlative. And because it's only one, even though, like, it might be your opinion only, right? But still, it's only the one, the most delicious food in the world to me, right? To me, there's only one, and it's, I don't know, pho, Vietnamese noodle, beef noodle soup. So Yuri Gagarin was the first man in space, right? It's unique. It's also the first, so any kind of superlative. This is the fastest jet aircraft in the world, okay? Maybe today, maybe not tomorrow, but it's what we call a superlative, right? When we talk about comparison, comparatives versus superlatives, okay? And it sounds weird, but it is the word super. So super meaning the best, the highest, right? So yeah, a lot of times when we are talking and comparing, we use comparative things like he is more something than somebody else. He is the best something in the class, best being the highest for the word good, right? We don't say gooder, we say better. Good, better, best. It's a weird one. Just hopefully you all know that now. And then something unique as well, right? The air. There's no other air in our world. I mean, if we're talking about specifically in this room, the air in this room, right, is the atmosphere. We're talking about one thing in our solar system. I'm going to move my mic. Hold on. How do I pause? All right, the Earth, there's only one of them. The Internet, still only one, even though it's all over the world. Like, we're all using the same internet, I hope. The universe, right? This thing that we live in. The law, the point, the part. There's other expressions like that. And we're talking about uniquely one law, the law. And we're talking about, usually when we say this, like, it's the law of the land, of the city, of the government, or something like that. The point. You've heard this expression, what's the point? And we're talking about, what's important right now, the part, etc. That one's the difficult one. There's a lot of expressions that just kind of pop up, and you kind of just have to know that, this set of words goes together. Okay, use the for the second mention of something. So originally, remember we said, I bought a new car, right? Or there's a problem, first mention, right? The problem is my new car is on fire. So we're just talking about my sports car. This is not my sports car. But yeah, whenever you mention something, so you'll see this a lot in stories and people telling, like, I met a man, the man was wearing a red jacket, he had a red umbrella, he was the weirdest person I know, or I met. Using all these examples. Maybe this is better than the original. Use the for geographic parts of the globe, geographic areas, deserts, mountain ranges, okay, but not all waters, okay, so the Alps, the Sahara, the equator, that part of the earth, the South, this is an area, and we don't say the South of America, or we don't say Southern America, because that's another continent, another part of, but yeah, in America, we have this place and we call it the South because it has certain, regional differences from the rest of America. This is the Middle East. And yeah, can you think of other ones? It's probably a lot, okay? Mountain ranges, right? The Alps, the Sierra Nevadas, the Rocky Mountains in America, the Appalachians in the East Coast, any deserts names, the Mojave Desert, I guess we don't, because it's not a desert in it. We say Death Valley, and that's the name. But yeah, the Mojave Desert, the Gobi Desert. And this is in English, right? So you might say it differently in your language, but we're in an English class. Use the with most bodies of water, except individual lakes. Okay, so the Pacific Ocean, right? The Danube River. We usually leave off like the last part. The Mediterranean, right? We usually don't even say the sea, right? But the Mediterranean Sea, because we all kind of know the Great Lakes. Okay, so that's like a group of lakes. We can say the. Is there another chain of lakes somewhere in the world that you can help me and fill that in? The Caspian? No, that's the sea. Chad Lake. Lake Chad. No. We don't do that. But if it's an individual lake, okay, we don't use the. We just, and for some reason, we don't say Michigan Lake. We say Lake Michigan and Lake Tahoe. Okay. I think I do hear sometimes people say Tahoe Lake. No. It sounds weird. I don't know why. It just sounds weird. Okay, so all the bodies of water except for lakes. Okay, and any group of lakes we can use the. So these rules start getting weird, I know, but remember that idea that the signifies something that is very unique. There is no other Danube River in the world. I mean, it goes through lots of parts of Europe. I think it's like 30-something countries. Use the for the names of countries that are a collection of things. So states, islands, etc. Okay, so the Philippines. I don't know why I do this one first, but the Philippines is a collection of islands. Okay, so that's why whenever you hear that people talking about Philippines, we say the Philippines. Okay, the United States, right? That's why we put the U.S. So if you just write U.S. and you don't put the in front of the, and you use the abbreviation of U.S., it's technically wrong. Okay, so put the. Why do we say the? Again, there's this vowel rule. Not everybody does it, but I would say the United States. I'm sorry. Somebody asked me today about university. And why don't we say an university? Okay, and technically, university starts with the a Y sound. Okay, so that university. We don't like Spanish speakers to say universidad, so yeah, in American we say, in English we say you, like it's in the word Y-O-U, university, okay? Including countries that end in S's. What are countries? So the Netherlands is actually short for the Netherlands Kingdom. Again, that's why there's an S on the Netherlands. It's a collection. In the past, it was a bunch of different kingdoms that became this place. And nether is actually really a weird word because it means nothing. So there's really nothing there before, and now it's, I don't know if you know, but they put water. They cover the water with land. That's how they made the Netherlands. It's like the first, what do they call it? Artificial land in the water. Or have the words United, Union, Republic, or Kingdom. Okay, so the Dominican Republic, we always say the United Kingdom, and then the one I said in class was the DRC, which is in Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo. And there's another country called Congo, and so they're different. They've split up, and anytime a country has the word democratic in it, it's not democratic. Okay, so just look that up. Yeah, or the people something. And the UN, right? What is the UN? The United Nations, a collection of countries. The African nation, the African Congress. What is it called? Sorry. Definite article number 6 now. Use the for some time phrases, decades, and many others. So a group of them, okay, but not individuals. So the 80s, right? The 90s, the 2000s. We can say them with many phrases. What's the matter? And I would say here it's a specific matter. Something is happening, some situation, right? What's the situation? What's the circumstance, right? Is that I want to know specifically what it is. And so we're trying to be definitive. What's a matter? What's a matter? People say that. I don't know. Maybe it's changed. The bigger, the better, right? And again, we're kind of using this idea of the superlative, but that's a phrase that you will often hear. The past, the present, the future, all of those words are collections. But if it's one individual year, then no, we leave that off, okay? Number 7, use the with an adjective or a singular countable noun for things in general. What does that mean? So let's get into this one. This one's always weird. The city, right? So we're talking about one city, and maybe the city is London, is divided between the rich and the poor. And you notice here, rich and poor are what? They are adjectives. And when we put the in front of certain adjectives, especially ones that describe things and describe people, then we can make it into the group of people who are rich, the poor, the people who are poor, the wealthy, right? Same idea. We can use this for general to talk about the tiger equals tigers, okay? And sometimes it doesn't sound right. Like I'm going to give you another example where, if we're at a zoo and I say the tigers, that would mean something. Then, the tigers are a beautiful thing. I actually think generally using just the word tigers with nothing in front of it typically is talking about all tigers in general, okay? The other thing that I thought about, and if you're watching this, I'll show it in class, but there's a movie and it's called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Have you ever heard of that? It's it's with Clint Eastwood. It's like an old spaghetti western. Sergio Leone. Definite article, the. Okay, we're getting weirder now. Use the with musical instruments. Okay, so you have a job. You are a musician, but you play the guitar. Right, my brother plays the guitar. I am learning how to play the piano. Whenever we're talking about musical instruments, it's always the in front of it, right? We never just say individually, and unless it's something like I'm buying 2 guitars. But when you play something, it's the instrument, okay? All right. Zero article. I bet you didn't know that there was a zero article, but there's and then sometimes nothing, and that nothing makes it mean something different sometimes, okay? So use zero, and I'm going to use this little symbol with the zero, with the line through it, the O, with plurals and uncountable nouns to talk about things in general, right? So remember the word tiger, and uncountable nouns like water. So we're talking about something in general, all of it, not just one drop of water on the ground. Okay, the water in the basement would be different than water in the world. Okay, children need at least 8 hours of sleep. This is general. We're talking about all children. And, child is the singular version of that, and it becomes children. It's one of our irregular count nouns. The children never sleep after eating sugar. And we're talking right now specifically, let's talk about these kids right here. The children never sleep after eating sugar, right? And I'm talking about maybe you have your own children or some other people's children. We know what we're talking about. It's specific. Could we use the children need at least 8 hours of sleep? I feel like when you say that, and this is the problem with some of these rules, is that when you say that, it feels very specific. Maybe because you could potentially have children in your midst, in your, around you, but you would never have tigers. So it wouldn't ever come up like, well, yeah, you're right, my tigers. That's right. Unless you're like Mike Tyson. No zero article, use zero article, no article or zero article. That's what I called it. With continents, countries, towns, roads, stations, mountains, and lakes. Okay, so Africa, it's a continent. Istanbul, it's a city. King's Cross Station, it's like a station or a road. We don't say the King's Cross Station, the Anaheim Station. But we would say something like the Anaheim Angel Stadium. No, it's just Angel Stadium. Mount Everest. We don't say the Mount Everest. Lake Garda, any kind of lake that is like an individual lake. Okay, so we don't say the lake, like we say the Great Lakes. Okay, zero article. Number 3, use zero article with personal names. So don't put anything in front of people, places. Bob. Okay, don't call me the Bob. That's what my friends did in high school. Turkey is a country, or Turkey, sorry. If the name doesn't have the in front of it already, okay, so if, the United States, you have to say the United States, right? The Rock, that guy. If it's like a character or something like that, we use that name, the Ice King or something, because that's his name and that's his title, and he's the only one that is the Rock, apparently. And it makes it sound very, I don't know, dramatic or something. Okay, no zero article. Number 4, use with sports. Don't use an article with sports. Okay, he plays tennis. He doesn't play the tennis. Soccer has 11 players on each team, not the soccer. I didn't put a picture of soccer. That's weird. Use zero article with abstract ideas. And this is kind of the big one, the one that I think gets everybody. So an abstract idea is the opposite of what is the opposite of abstract? Concrete. So think of concrete, right? The thing that you stand on and walk on as something physical. You can grab it. So abstract is the opposite. And abstract art is kind of like, it doesn't look real. It's like, right? But abstract ideas are these big universal concepts. They have no physical form. You can't touch them. Usually. Yeah, you can't touch them. Education, beauty, music, nature. So if you're writing an essay about beauty, you wouldn't say the beauty. Okay? If you're writing about music, you wouldn't, if you talk about music in general, you just say music. And is there an S on musics? No, you can't do that. Is there natures? I feel like nature is definitely uncountable. But you can like have different natural places in the world, like we talked about this week in the Padlet. Universal, okay? Anything universal, like justice, I hope it's universal, but maybe we lost it. Freedom, is it universal anymore? Peace, is it universal? Truth, is it universal? I don't know anymore. And somebody was talking about the truth, tell the truth, okay? And why do we say that? That's a phrase, and that kind of means like there should be only one truth, and that's the truth that you know, okay? But if we're talking about it as a big concept, if we're talking about like truth is the most important thing in a relationship or a friendship or something like that. When you talk about the word like honesty or something like that, we don't say the honesty, right? We just think of it as an abstract idea. And because of it, it's not like the air or the sun, okay? It's kind of this thing that exists out there. I guess the sun you could touch someday if you wanted to, if you could get there. Things like virtues, I just said honesty, but kindness, honesty, patience, courage, anger, respect, compassion, etc. Vices, things like procrastination, bad things, corruption, rudeness, hatred. And when we're talking about this, if we're having a speech where you're supposed to talk about corruption in the government, if we're talking about the corruption in a specific government, that's different, right? And the rudeness of people who are, I never experienced such rudeness. That's different than, his rudeness or the rudeness they showed us. You could say that. But we're talking about in general. Emotions in general, happiness, sadness, anger, fear, etc. Ideologies, things like religion, capitalism, democracy, Islam, Christianity, blah, blah, blah. We don't put the in front of it. But if you're talking about the church, then that's different. If you're talking about a specific church, the Anglican church, the one in England, anything about existence and time, life, okay, in general, life is beautiful. You can say that. It's the name of a movie as well. But, if you're saying about your life, then it's my life or the life of somebody, the life of Pi, the life of, Nelson Mandela or something like that. Death, seasons. So I should have said this. I'm going to change it right now since you've seen this all. Seasons, like when we say the word like summer, okay, and words like spring, etc. Not all seasons, not the word seasons, but summer, spring, days. We don't put articles on it. Months, right? We don't say the January. The years, we don't say the 2025, but we say the 2020s. Okay, so the 2020s were a crazy time. Still are, still will be. Okay, and that's it. Any questions? It's a lot of materials. Take your notes, look through these. And my advice for you and everyone studying and being challenged and struggling with this is take a breath. You're not going to get it all at once. It's fine. And, some super academic people will never be able to get these right because if it doesn't exist in your language, then it's going to be really hard. And if it's very different even in your language, then it's going to be really hard. There's a lot of rules, so just kind of take your time. And, my advice is to read. And when you're reading Animal Farm and you're looking through everything, go ahead and just, start looking at where the A and the and the pop up, and you'll start to kind of see it. And I'm that's where you're gonna like absorb this into your brain, and you'll see it, and then you'll write it, and you'll figure it out. But you gotta do instead of just like listening to me talk. Okay, so that's it. I'm gonna post this into the middle of this video right now, and thank you so much for coming to class and working hard, and we're almost there, guys. All right, thanks. Man. Okay, let's stop with this. What I want you to do for homework, I want you just to look through this unit, go all the way down to here. So exercise 5, okay? Do it on your own. I'm going to send you the answers for it this time. We'll come back to this. And I think the best way to do articles is to use it, okay? So we're going to write a story next week, and it'll be an interesting activity for you to practice using articles and making the mistakes and then getting it right, okay? So we're going to move on from that. I got to... Whew. But yeah, I don't know if I like your book's explanations. It's like there's not enough examples. Okay, we took a break already. We're skipping that. We're going to come back to body paragraphs. Again, we don't have enough time. Okay. So you wrote your introduction. Some of you have written your introductions. I'd like to give you time. So if you did who did the peer review or started to read each other's introductions by a raise of hands? Did we do that? No. Okay. I thought we did. I gave you this piece of paper for an outline. No. Well, that was just to help each other. I want to give you some time to do that, but and I gave some of you. Oh, wonderful! I want to see. I'm not collecting them, but I will look at them. Okay. So we use an outline. Okay, it's a way that you can. An outline is a way that you can organize your thoughts, okay? And I know a lot of you think that it's okay, you're just going to start writing it. That's fine, right? Before you start doing anything, especially with writing, it's good to have your ideas, to get your brainstorm. Let me show you this paper so that we can just kind of talk about it quickly. Not the rubric, the outline. So an outline is kind of similar to the notes that we took before, right? Like you have these ideas, you have your Roman numeral 1, your introduction, right? You can just start kind of writing some ideas down, thesis statements, things like that, right? Like this is kind of where you start to kind of form your ideas. What's your thesis statement going to be? We're talking about uncertainty, right? So what are some kind of... I can't use this. Hold on. Let me write it over here. So we have uncertainty. What can we talk about uncertainty? Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. So what are we talking about uncertainty? We're talking about the different coping strategies, right? We can use something like this when we brainstorm. This is called a bubble chart, okay? Let's call it coping strategies. And what are some of the coping strategies that we could possibly use when we talk about uncertainty? Face the fear. What does that mean? Okay, so it's like just expose yourself. Okay. Be brave. Okay. Face the fear, be brave. What's another coping strategy that we could use for uncertainty? Oh, sorry. What's another one? What's one that you have, Izumi, on your... Yeah, what's one of yours? Learn more? Yeah. Okay. So like do research or learn more about the uncertainty? Learn more about what? Okay. Fears. Language. Okay. So we're getting a little more specific. Okay. Know your options. Like what? Okay, about the situation. So know. Okay, learn more. Maybe let's connect these. What's another thing as a coping strategy for uncertainty? Okay, yeah. Ask for support. Ask for. Ask for help. Who could that be? Who could we ask for help?
Making flexible plans.
Make what?
Making flexible.
Principle?
Flexible.
Flexible.
Yes.
Okay. flexible plans or just being flexible? Okay. Have flexible plans. Let me come back to the support thing, right? So we can ask for help from who? Like our friends, family, right? And also community, specialists, right? Right, so there are all different types of things like that. So I'm going to say specialist, and then you guys mentioned something specific. I'm writing really fast, I'm sorry. Like a psychologist, therapist, stress expert, something, right? So we can keep expanding on those ideas, right? This is what the bubble does for us. And so, yeah, part of your thing when you're, before you write, and our big thing, I'm going to move this guy because he's got to be bigger, right? We're still focused on uncertainty, okay? But we're focusing on one part of uncertainty, and this is just the coping strategies, right? We could write something like, reasons for uncertainty. Right? And some of those things could be, I don't know, the economy, right? What, jobs, right? Jobs, oh my gosh, right? I don't know, school. Future, health, right? The health, future. Okay, and so when we have this kind of a thing, we call this a bubble chart. Part of our brainstorming is it's just dumping ideas down, right? And you're not going to write about this, but maybe I can use some of this in my introduction, right? I can mention, oh yeah, some of the reasons for uncertainty is the economy. Sorry, my handwriting is very fast. Jobs, health, school, or something like that, right? We're going to go talk about coping strategies. And so one of the coping strategies that we could have is to know your options and learn more. And maybe they're kind of similar, so I kind of put them closer to each other, right? Face the fear, be brave, expose yourself, right? Ask for help. We could ask for help from friends, from family, from community, specialists, okay? And that kind of gives us more ideas to work with, right? Instead of just running out of ideas, we can kind of go further. What's another? Let's do one more coping strategy. Anybody else have another one that you want to talk about or think? Manage your expectations. What did you say? Confidence. Is it a strategy? How do we make confidence? Manage your expectations. How do we just build confidence for this? How? So let's say, let's say that one of our things will be confidence. And you're brainstorming, right? Okay. So what could you do? Expose. Okay. So closer to face the fear again, right? Okay. So maybe I'm not gonna I won't do that, but but let's work on this part. So let's make it here. Expose yourself to challenges. Something. What else? How do we just get new confidence? What's one way that you've... Okay, know more about yourself. Know about yourself. Your what? Your name, your address, your strengths, and opposite? Yeah. So that's a way that we could know yourself, right? So, you mentioned confidence, right? And maybe you want to talk about that. So then you have to think about, how can I do this, right? And so kind of brainstorming and writing these things. I like to use this. You could just write a list of things, right? You could use postcards or post notes. You know, you could put it on the wall. I sometimes do that when I'm like thinking of ideas, right? But kind of doing this. What's another way we can increase our confidence? How do we do that mental thing? Mental? Yeah, right? So like something about stress, right? So we can increase our confidence if we like reduce stress. How do we reduce stress? Meditation, there's one way. What's another one that we've talked about? Sports, exercise, right? And you know, they always say that sports like increases people's confidence, right? Women's confidence. Yeah. Right? So then what would I do? You just brought up that thing. Yeah, like expose yourself. Part of it is doing sports, being out there, making mistakes, failing, right? So yeah, expose yourself. And we start to kind of make our connections. And I always think when the connections are stronger, right? If we can go all the way from face the fear, all the way back to here, I'm going to say, okay, I like that, right? And I might make this again. I might just like erase some things and then start again and say, okay, I want to build confidence. How do we build confidence, right? And so when you're writing and you're thinking about ideas or you're stuck, you know, and you like, what can I add? Try to do some kind of technique like this. This is called a bubble chart, okay? And this can help you to kind of get new perspective, new ideas, right? You know, if this essay was about a different topic, you can talk about, you know, reasons for uncertainty, and you could list those, all of the different reasons for uncertainty. You could talk about things from uncertainty like, you know, the NFC, the need for closure, right? You can talk about how that leads to uncertainty. But yeah, doing something like this, and if you don't have one of these outlines, raise your hand, I'll pass you out one, okay? I think it's you know, it's a good way to get started. It's a good way to put your ideas out before you start writing, before you spend 2 hours writing and you realize, I don't have enough for something, you know? Think about it as a way that you can build a map, a roadmap for your writing. I want you to do that, and then I'm going to post for the homework today is to get started on writing your body paragraphs, okay? So you've written your introductions, and you can still change it. You can do whatever you want. It's going to be on a new document, so you can just copy it over if you want, okay? And then I want you to start writing your body paragraphs, okay? So maybe you chose one of these coping strategies, like know your options. You're going to say, knowing your options can help you to reduce uncertainty or cope with uncertainty, right? Asking for help is one way that we can reduce uncertainty's effects on our lives, right? By calling your friends, family, blah, blah, blah. You know, you can ask for support. Another thing we could do is to use therapists, you know. I don't know, what do? We rent you know, talk to a psychologist about these things to help you, you know, reduce your stress. And finally, you know, in order to build our confidence, we can reduce uncertainty by being more confident, you know, and that means that we should reduce our stress, expose ourselves to things, and know about our strengths and weaknesses, right? Those would be your 3 paragraphs. You don't have to put super thousands details this long, okay? Keep it short, keep it sweet. Don't overthink it, and just get it started. All right. Any questions? All right. Have a great weekend. I'm going to send you that. If you have your journals, give them to me. I will look at these and correct them. And have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. And thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
So I did
this, I mean, with 13 and original assignment, and you didn't, I mean.
Okay, so I haven't looked at it yet.
Thank you so much. Please
Okay.
do.
Sorry. Yeah. I get to it. Thank you, Roxana.
For example, Mississippi River, and why we say Lake Michigan? We say
Opposite, I know.
we say
I don't
Black
know.
Sea,
Right. There's something about lakes, though, like Lake Tahoe.
Lake Michigan. Why? Why we don't
That's
say
the
Michigan Lake?
I know, but that's the weird thing. That's why I made this thing, because
So for this is the
it's only
we
for
don't
lakes.
use, yeah, we don't use the day also.
Yeah, we don't use the, but we, yeah, it's like a title.
Yeah, but if you wanna say
Michigan Lake.
yeah, but regarding the river, we say the Mississippi
River, the Amazon River, the Nile River. But lakes are special. I don't know why.
Yeah. Also, we don't say Michigan Lake. Lake Michigan.
Lake Michigan. Right, so lake is like a title. Bye. Thank you. Wonderful weekends, everybody. Thank you. I didn't record any of this.